Well, my name is Peter Anthony Keegan. I'm originally from South Armagh, spent a lot of my life in England, and then came back to live in Westport. I have been in the construction industry for the whole of my life, and when I came back to Westport in the end of the 70s, we decided to set up a little company and carried on in the construction industry. And that was the way up until 2009, when things collapsed, including my own business. And I had time then to really look into things and see what caused this. In my opinion, we had always worked hard and done our best to employ a few people over them years. And all of a sudden it was just like turning a key in a door, it was gone. So eventually anyway, I realised that this was caused obviously by banks and by reckless lending. So I decided to look a bit more into where we were at ourselves, because at this stage we were going through a very tough time. And next thing was anyway, we got a prosecution summons from the courts on none. I think what it said on it was non-declaration of the household charge, failing to make and provide a declaration of the household charge. And I never had anything like this in my life, and of course it made me think, well, what's going on here? So I decided to do a wee bit of research with a bit of help from others, and eventually having done that and really looked at this, we said, no more, we're going to stand up and fight. And basically that's why I'm here now, to challenge this.
In relation to the household charge that you've received summons for, and specifically that you've failed to make and provide a declaration, what has been the result of your research or investigations into this particular act?
My total belief has been now that this act is void, null and void, really. With the help of others, we've discovered that there is a flaw in this act, and that's what we are standing on, that principle.
What specifically have you found in the act? And I believe you mentioned before there's another document that many people mightn't be aware of that goes along with the Household Charge Act.
Yes, there is another document, the statutory instrument which makes up the Act itself. Rules, regulations is another name for it, and we have, with the help again of others, we have looked into that deeply, and that's where we have discovered where we believe the people are being conned, is the word I would use actually. So that is our point that we are working on now. And in that we have discovered that when they ask for a signed signature, in fact, of the person, of the human being basically involved, it is not there.
So what you're saying is that and correct me if I'm wrong here, that in the Act and in the statutory instrument, the rules that govern the Act, there is no requirement for a signature. Is that right?
That is correct. There's absolutely nowhere in either the Act or the statutory instrument where it actually calls for the human being to sign. Also, there is nowhere in the Act or in the statutory instruments where it calls for a date.
Okay, and what about this official form then that people have been told that it's mandatory that they must fill out, this HC12N form? Is that prescribed, or is it written that you must fill that official form out?
Not at all. No sign whatsoever in that. And we believe that people have done that without realising, and obviously having not studied the documents as we have done.
Okay. So there's an ever increasing number of people that are saying that the Household Charge Act and the property tax, this incoming property tax, which people are beginning to get letters now from the revenue, that it's an information and money gathering shakedown. What's your opinion on that?
It's become very obvious to me that is near the mark, quite near the mark, because it would appear that any money that is being gathered is going to a central fund, and my belief, as well as I'm sure others, that money has been moved on to pay bondholders, to pay bondholders mainly, and it will not be used for the common good of the people.
So essentially, what you're saying is that, according to the Household Charge Act and the Household Charge Statutory Instrument, the rules and regulations that govern that Act, nowhere is it written that you must sign, give your signature, and nowhere must you date it, and nowhere does it require you to fill in this HC12N application in the Act.
Correct. Absolutely nowhere in either.
So if that's the case, what's stopping anybody else from filling out the information that is required on behalf of somebody else? How is that enforceable?
Well, it is not enforceable. And if you were to follow what it mentions in either of the paperwork, you could do it on the back of a cigarette box. But is that a declaration? I don't think so.
Well, at a very basic level, how can I force you to make a declaration? Can I force you to make a declaration?
Of course not. What has forced people, and that is the word, is fear. That's my belief.
So, you said you and others have begun to get together now, and can you tell me how that's forming?
Well, at the moment, we are now going about with others and informing people. We have now a website there which is called attackthetax.com, and I would say to anyone, go there and you will find a lot of the information about that, and also go to the meetings that are going on around the country, because it's time people, no more than an ordinary person like myself, more ordinary people need to stand up and say, well, I'm taking no more.
So how can somebody then defend themselves? I mean, a lot of people will say that, oh well, the household charge, that's more or less finished now, and they're going to take it out of my money if I don't pay it anyway through the incoming property tax. How can I and others, how can you defend yourself against this? What's going on?
Well, at the moment, we have a case in the district court. We also have a case that was in the High Court, which has now been appealed, which is going to be ongoing to the Supreme Court. And as long as them two cases are alive, this will roll on, and people that have an interest and join the special purpose vehicle company which we have here, that is out now, they will have what they call an interest in both them cases. And we are defending in the district court the original case. We're also, because we are appealing it, we believe the whole lot is unconstitutional. And that's the basis of our case as well. And as far as we're concerned, the property tax and the household charge, they are tied in together anyway, and both of them are definitely going to come down. We will carry this right through as far as Europe if we have to. That's our main goal, to make sure people get justice here.
So what you're saying then is that if the household charge falls, and you're saying it's unconstitutional and you said it's completely unenforceable, that the property tax will automatically fall as well?
Yes, indeed. The property tax is indeed interlinked to the household charge, and that will be joined up, once the case is ongoing. And I believe also from the government side, it's stated there in the Act for the property tax that they will be taking over the household charge at a certain time.
So you mentioned a special purpose vehicle. Can you, just in simple terms, I suppose, can you tell me what that is? What is this special purpose vehicle, and how does it link into your case?
Well, it links into our case in the sense that anyone that's involved in the special purpose vehicle will have an interest, as I said before, which will mean it's tied then to my ongoing case, which is at the local level. People then have an opportunity by actually joining to, first of all, to follow your case, and indeed, but they'll be totally safeguarded, because with it being a company, it's only within that company, which is a legal company, that that's where their interest will lie, so that they can never have any, there can never be any case against them, anyone else. And we believe our case is very, very winnable. And when we win that case, it means that both the household charge and the property tax will have to be completely fired out.
So the SPV then, what do people do to become part of the SPV?
Very simple. All they have to do is, first of all, go and to any of the meetings, or pick up the cards that are about, which is fairly self-explanatory. They can then log on to become a shareholder. Basically, that's by logging on to the website. They become a shareholder for, I think it's about €2, maybe a little bit more if you pay through one of these PayPal or whatever. And by being a shareholder, they then do become that party of interest to our case, to both cases actually.
It's been mentioned that there's already thousands that have become shareholders in this special purpose vehicle that has a special interest now in your cases. How many people are you hoping become shareholders in this case, and why?
Well, first of all, as regards, we would hope that anyone that has looking for justice here will realise that people can feel it within themselves. They know this is totally wrong, what's been done to us. And we would expect people that have in their own hearts thinking of challenging any of these things that the government is doing at the moment against the people, that this is an ideal opportunity to say, listen, no, we will not pay this. We will not fair use anymore. So all they have to do is sign up, really.
Well, would it be correct in saying that if over 50% of the householders become interested parties in this case, become shareholders, the government then would no longer have a mandate to implement this tax?
No, indeed. Obviously the more numbers, the stronger our case. And certainly we'd be very hopeful that we will get at least that amount of the population. And by the way, even people that have paid the household charge rather, a possibility, very strong, they can join and they can also get their money back once we win the case. Because again, we believe that there was a cover up there, really. and that people innocently signed up to that without realising what the full facts were.
So there's absolutely no risk to anybody who becomes a shareholder in the limited liability of this special purpose vehicle, this SPV, and you'll not have to pay your property tax until the outcome of your case is known, or when you win, rather, as you're saying. Would you say that the time for talking is over?
Very much so. Very much. We realise now we've done a lot of bitching amongst ourselves. Now it's time for the people to stand up. This is a good start, folk. And by the way, I think this will ongo. This case doesn't matter whether we win it at the local level, or we believe if we don't, but we do believe we will win. It will move on then further, and you're looking here at possibly 2-3 years' time before any resolution is complete. That's my belief, as far as I know of the law anyway.
Okay. So in summing up, the household charge is completely unconstitutional, is what you're saying, and completely unenforceable. That there is nowhere in the Act or the regulations do you have to sign it, date it, or fill out this HC12N, this official form. Am I correct?
You're on the button there, absolutely. Yes, indeed, that is true.
And so that there is no, in saying that you must make a declaration, that somebody is telling porky pies.
Of course. And that's easy for them, as we know.
Okay. How can people get more information about this whole, what seems to be an ever-increasing number of people getting involved in this campaign? How can people get more information about it?
Well, the tax is the best place to start. It's there on the website, and there's also meetings being held in different parts of the country now. Plenty of lads going around explaining it more in better detail than me, anyway. For I'm not really I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but for the simple person, get onto the website and you'll see the basis is there, really.
Well, just on that, you said you're not a lawyer. Are there any lawyers around the country actually giving out this information?
Well, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, so perhaps...
Perhaps they might, once we go to a certain level and we have the amount of people, I'm sure, we'll have some interest from other people as well.
Finally, have you anything else to say just on this whole matter?
Well, as I said, 2 or 3 years ago, we were in a state of,